Hey guys, Chad with Earthworks here. We want to go into a bit of equipment maintenance, so I thought what better place to go to than the place that we use exclusively, Nichols Equipment. Let's talk to these guys.
Morning, Chad.
Morning, man. How are you, Jason?
Good, sir. About yourself?
Not bad. Hey guys, so this is Jason. Jason here at Nichols Equipment. These guys are who we use, exclusively for all of our, equipment purchases, and any kind of service that is, above the skill level, of our in-house mechanic. But to that point, I want Jason to talk to you guys a bit about preventative maintenance, things that you can be doing to all of your equipment just to make sure things are running properly all year long. So Jason, if we want to start maybe with the mowers that we run.
Absolutely.
And then we can get more into the residential stuff as well.
So I believe this is, I think you've got a couple of these mowers, the
Yes.
Right Stander X.
Yes, sir. Actually, Right is the only thing that we run. Our entire fleet is, I say our fleet is all Right for that reason.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. So the X is right in between Stander's models. They've got a smaller model, the I. They've got a larger model, the ZK. This is really a great residential killer because it's not too heavy, but
Yep.
it's really fast. It's really tough. But really tough doesn't mean that it's non-breakable. And the biggest thing that we see,
Our guys know that quite well.
People have to maintain things. Mowers are in really rough environments. There's a lot of dirt, there's a lot of vibration, and there's a lot of heat. And if you let those things go unchecked, then a simple maintenance repair can easily add up to a costly, broken machine that needs a lot.
For sure. So with these, like a lot of these things, even though this is the bigger mowers, and if you're just an individual homeowner at home, obviously you probably, unless you're like the coolest guy on the block, you probably don't have this sitting in your garage. But a lot of things apply the same, right? Like changing the oils and all of that, blade sharpening. So touch on a few of those things that they can be doing preventative wise, and then we can look at maybe each type, each model.
Absolutely. So you touched on the two most important that I stress for every mower that we sell, and we're happy to teach our customers how to do these things when they buy the equipment. I'd love to do this service for you, but we definitely don't mind showing you how to do the basic maintenance. Oil and air are the two biggest things that we see that don't get taken care of enough that will decrease the life of your product. And we want to see your product last. And a lot of people that even do know how to check their oil and change their air filter, they're probably not doing it often enough. That's the second big thing we see. It's not just that it's not done, but that it's not done as often. I really recommend for a homeowner, before each use, double check the air filter, double check your oil level.
Yes.
It's really easy to check it, and if it's not correct and you don't check it, it's really easy to kill the engine.
Yes, it is.
And then with commercial clients, you guys are using this equipment much more heavily, much more aggressively, and so I recommend to check these, at least check the oil every time you fill up with gas, because if you're using the mower throughout the day and you're having to top it off a lot, you're putting a lot of hours on it. And it's better safe than sorry with that oil consumption. No,
very true, very true. And if you happen to be, one of the commercial guys and running your business, then you'll use these types of machines. Obviously, you can be running Rights or any number of machines. But then you're getting into, there's a lot more moving parts on these per se, like belts and other things, right? That they, is there much you can do in the way of preventative for that?
There is actually. So. The biggest thing that we advise is just inspecting your deck. Mm-hmm. And I'll show you here real quick. What I always like to do is lower the deck a little bit. And there's some access panels. These twist knobs here, you don't have to take them off, you can just loosen them. And you see here that we opened up our spindle pulley. So this pulley's moving really fast when you're using the machine.
Right.
And it's really common for some debris, maybe some sticks, a pine cone, can get up in there.
All that thatch and everything
That's
else, right?
And it doesn't take much to wedge between a pulley and a belt to make it pop off.
Yep.
Now the preventative is just to take your blower and blow that off of there. Obviously while the machine's not running. I advise
smart.
against water. Some people say they spray it off with water. This is a metal machine with grease.
With grease, correct.
I don't like water on metal, and I don't like water in bearings. So I say if you want it clean,
I mean, it's good for business for you, right? If they
we hate to see that. We hate to see it. If you want it clean, some Windex and a rag is really nice.
Yep.
But just your regular quick, come up there with your blower and blow it off. We have an air compressor with high pressure air, and that does a really good job of really, you'd be surprised at how clean they'll look after just some high pressure air.
Yeah, and I mean, in commercial guys, I mean, they can be doing that, I mean, a couple times a day, right?
Oh, absolutely. I say if you're getting to a new yard and you're about to mow, just take your blower and stick it up in there and make sure there's nothing up in there. Because the last thing you want is to be halfway through your yard and lose a belt.
Yeah, and we teach our guys too, like that's kind of how they end yards. We're finishing everything off and we're blowing everything off. You have the blower, the mower sitting there, you go and blow that mower off too, and then you keep going. If you're the homeowner, right, then you can just do it after each,
right,
after each use.
Before it goes back in the garage, clean it off a little bit.
Exactly. Is there anything else important they should be doing, greasing anything like that?
Absolutely. So the engine is definitely what I stress as far as maintenance, because it probably needs it the most often.
Yes.
It's the hardest working part. And thankfully, Right Stander has taken away most of the maintenance as far as having to remove and grease bearings. They've taken away most of the grease fittings and used a sealed bearing. And that sealed bearing helps keep a lot of the dirt out. So like on your blade spindles, and that's what's doing all the work of the spinning the blades, you don't have to do any maintenance on those. Where you do have to do maintenance is up front up here. So we've actually got automotive style comb bearings up inside this housing.
Inside these guys?
And usually down in here as well. And these are greasable. And what Right Stander says, I believe, on these is just like you would do your trailer bearings about once a year, take this out and clean it. Most importantly, a lot of guys don't notice when there starts to get a little bit of play in their forks. It's really important to get it taken care of immediately, because that little bit of play can start doing some real damage to this whole housing.
Yes.
I actually have had gentlemen have to replace this whole front end simply because they kept going with bad bearings. So they went from having to replace just bearings to replacing a whole front end just because they let it go.
So just don't let it go forever.
Don't let it go.
Now, when we talk about doing this, though, I mean, is it important the type of grease that they're using, a higher end grease, or?
I mean, you definitely want to use just some good bearing grease. These are simple bearings, similar to what a car would use. So
not like high moving or high speed like a blade one would be. You can use a little more basic on this.
To be honest, most bearings, most greases that I think you would find would be like a high temp bearing grease. And
Okay.
it'd be suitable for both.
Okay.
Because neither one of these is going to be spinning nearly as fast as your automobile.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Super important, guys. Any specifics on these that would be different for a homeowner versus the commercial stuff?
Not particular. Most of it's actually going to be really similar. So this is the Cub Cadet XT2. The XT2 is actually a dealer exclusive model. You cannot buy this at any big box store. Everyone knows about Cub Cadet.
Remember that. Stay away from big box stores.
A lot of people don't realize that Cub Cadet is they prefer local dealers.
Yep.
Cub Cadet's one of those companies like Steel, where even though Cub will sell at Home Depot, if you have an issue, they're going to send you to me.
Yep.
Cub Cadet likes to have that personal service for your equipment.
That's awesome.
But again, we still like to teach our customers, how to stay out of the shop.
Yes.
If we can at all help it. And under this hood here is actually an engine very similar to what was on the Right Stander. This is a different make, model, and size, but the maintenance really is the same. It's still air and oil. They're actually very similar to change. Same style oil filter. And the same goes with the deck. Everything is a little bit smaller, but you still have the chance of getting debris in there and cleaning it off.
So you want to do the same things, really? I mean, just keeping those things blown out after each service, keeping water and things off of it, right?
That's right. And thankfully, as a homeowner, most homeowners are not going to go through belts and stuff nearly as often as you guys will.
Yeah, that is true.
A lot of people ask me, how often am I going to have to change my belt on my home machine? And I say it could be a long time.
Yes.
Most people go years without having to do it. Now, it's a belt. Things happen, right? I've had guys that hit a stick at 6 months and that stick killed the belt. But I have several customers that go years without ever having to think about it.
I mean, all you do, you just need something to get that one cut in there, and then you're kind of in some trouble. So it's just a matter of time at that point.
That's right.
Well, cool. Let's jump over then to the other residential machine, that push mower, and let's look at those particulars.
I'll take you right into a Honda. Everyone loves a Honda. So this is probably my best-selling Honda. I believe this is the one that always takes the reviews as far as when they when they rate mowers.
Yep.
This has been these two, but this one specifically has been one of the best rated mowers out there.
Why is that?
Well, it's a Honda, and Honda they
So we're done. No.
They build everything from top to bottom on the machine.
Yeah.
Most mowers, when you buy it, you're going to have an engine made from someone, maybe Honda, and then you're going to have a frame made from someone else, maybe Craftsman or Husqvarna or Troy-Bilt.
Yep.
And so you've got a separate company making your frame and your blades and your wheels and your transmissions. With this machine, Honda makes every single part from top to bottom. when I order parts for this machine, I get them from a Honda warehouse, which is nice. And the thing is, Honda's actually more affordable than most of them as well. You wouldn't think that, would you?
No,
you think they put their name on it and they're going to charge you, but they're actually really, really affordable. But this machine has just a small single-cylinder engine, a lot smaller than the V-twins that we were looking on the other
Yep.
ones. And you still have your oil. There's no oil filter on these. They're small enough that usually most homeowners once a year you can get by with it. But what I tell everyone is check the color. If you think that it only needs it once a year, but you're halfway through the season, your oil looks dark, I would get it out of there. Dark oil, when it gets around that coffee,
Yep.
Black is way too far.
Yeah.
If you've got to looking like ink, then you're in trouble.
In some trouble.
So go let the color be your guide the most. And you can see here, fresh oil is actually almost hard to see on the dipstick. It's almost like honey, very clear. And so that's why after a year, that oil starts looking like coffee. It's been burned and it's got some debris in there.
So this being, a much simpler machine, that you're not getting into all of the belts and moving parts that you are with the bigger ones. I mean, if a homeowner has this, what really should they be looking for? It's same thing, right? Air, oil.
It is, but with this machine, it is small, but it does still have a lot of moving parts. And I'll show you right under here. Honda actually designs these to be flipped like this so that you can change your oil without having to undo any screws. But we can also access our blades and our transmission from here to give it a good inspection. And you can see right here, we've got our transmission belt. And it's not something that really needs to be changed very often on the Hondas, but it is something that I recommend making sure debris is not up in there.
Yep.
And that debris is not getting in here. And again, a good blower will usually clean all that really well.
Blower, and just avoid, mowing really wet yards, right? That tend to
Correct.
really go up there and stay up there.
Yes, and just like I said with I don't recommend washing them off because it promotes rust.
Yep.
And it puts dirt into bearings. Same with these. A lot of people spray these off with water because they want it to be clean. And can you see how this axle comes right through this frame right here?
Yep.
There's a nice bushing in there that's greased, and that's what lets your axle roll smoothly. When you spray this with water, it pushes dirt and water down into your bushing.
Gotcha.
It pushes the grease out. And we have had some people that have rust get inside their bearings. Rust and bearings is not a good thing.
It's not a good mixture.
But this is actually one thing that we offer as a yearly service on the Hondas. It's pretty affordable, usually much less than $100. Not only do we go over the whole engine, sharpen the blades, we actually remove these wheels, remove all of these pinions and bushings from the rear end, grease them and clean them and put them back together.
Okay.
So that way, and usually for a whole year, most customers are good to go.
Yep.
It saves you just a little bit of money in preventative maintenance, prevents you from damaging your axle or your wheels or anything like that.
And then having to buy a whole new machine.
That's right.
Well, very cool. Well, with these push mowers and some of these things being Honda specific, but is there any other general things you would just, mention for homeowners to do?
Keeping a sharp blade is something a lot of people don't think about.
Yep.
This is Florida, there's a lot of sand in the soil. Even if it doesn't look like, if it's not white, it might be black, but there's a lot of silica in the soil. And
Yep.
just like the grinding stone that you use to sharpen the blades, that sand dulls the blades. I'm not sure how often you guys do it, but I have some commercial customers that swap out or sharpen their blades daily.
Yep.
Because they want a razor sharp cut.
This time of year, that's exactly what we're doing.
After one day of cutting, those blades, you can feel them, they've lost their edge. Most homeowners will go a whole year on a sharpen, but realistically, a lot of people probably need it more often than that.
Yeah.
And not only is that good for your grass, your grass really doesn't want to be beat to death with a dull blade. It likes a nice sheer
Then you get those
cut.
tears,
But
right?
It's actually not good for the lawnmower to have a dull blade. So as the blade dulls, it actually will wear uneven and it can be out of balance. And since these things are spinning so fast, any imbalance can cause a vibration. Vibration stresses everything on the machine.
No, that's a very good point.
Cracks in the metal. I've seen cracks in the plastic. It doesn't do good.
No, very true.
Keeping a sharp blade, because we balance all the blades here that we sharpen. So when we sharpen it, we balance it, put it back on the machine, make sure it's not going to do any damage.
Very good point. And part of that too can be sped up or slowed down slightly depending on the type of turf that you're cutting. Like we see it happen a lot faster if we do a lot of Bahia, yards. They have higher silica and it sticks to, and it dulls our mowers super fast. It'll happen obviously with all turfs. I mean, no matter what, we have sand and silica.
We have a lot of customers with really thick St. Augustine grass, and they like the Honda because it will cut a true 4 inches. And that's what most people want that.
Yep.
But then we have several customers that they have different types of grasses, and they like it cut lower. and that's fine. But every mower is designed to create lift.
Yes.
To help pick up the grass blades to cut it. The lower you cut, the stronger your lift is, because the blades are closer and the mower frame is creating that nice vacuum. You're also sucking dirt. And we can always tell the mowers that cut low, their blades wear out much faster.
So do you see that though with if we run a lot, you know, and we do a lot of zoysia yards and Bermuda yards, do you see that? Because we have to cut those guys lower.
We do. Now the better the grass is, the more it'll hold the soil. So
the nice dense turf.
Yeah, so there's two things. When I see a mower, I think one of two things. Either this person is cutting a very sparse yard where there's not a lot of grass, or they're cutting very low. And
Okay.
it's one of those two things. And sometimes those go hand in hand. Sometimes people with very bad grass just cut it low because they don't care. And it really can do some damage to the mower.
So you should then sharpen more often if you do have one of those turfs that are, you know, lower cutting, you know, Bermudas at a, you know, inch and a half or 2 inches. Same thing with zoysias, right?
And the rest of the mower will probably need maintenance more often as well, because that dust is not just getting in the mower deck, it's everywhere.
Yes.
The engine is trying to suck it in, your transmission is having to fight with it, so that dust goes everywhere, and the whole machine will most likely need more maintenance.
Very good point. Very good point. This is why we come and talk to this man. All right, so this covers, you know, a lot of the basics and preventative maintenance, you know, with the mowers and everything that you can do. But make sure that you guys, you know, for your own personal needs, if you don't want to be doing all of this stuff, you know, yourself, and you want the professionals here at Nichols to take care of it for you, or if you need some new equipment, come and see these guys. So Jason, how can they get a hold of you?
I got 3 really good ways. You can always call us by phone at 641-2922. You can stop by here in our showroom at 10237 Beach Boulevard, just down the street from Southside Boulevard. Not too far from you guys.
Very true.
And then we also do have a pretty nice website. It's nicholsequipment.com.
Beautiful.
It was so simple, I almost forgot.
Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm Chad Lakin, Operations Manager at Earthworks. Earthworks Jacks providing lawn maintenance, fertilization, and pest control throughout Northeast Florida. Give us a call at 996-0712 or reach us on the web at earthworksjacks.com.